Hi there. I'm excited to share with you today. We're going to look at our bodies and how they work in worship and how they work in our life. I want to start at the very beginning of the story. God creates the entire universe, and as he's creating these things one after another, day after day after day, he comes to man. And it says that he made humans this way. The Lord God formed the man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. And from that point forward, mankind has a body made of dust, mixed with the breath of God. It says that we're made in the image of God, and probably not what God looks like. I'm not sure whether God has 5 fingers on each hand, but we know that we're made in the image of God and that we resemble him in our heart, in our intention, in our ability to think, in our use of language, and a whole host of other things. And when Jesus came to earth, he inhabited a body, just like we do. And it might be kind of strange to be talking about this as worship, but I want you to think about one thing with me. And this is something I've been really struggling with for the last couple of weeks as we're all quarantined, as every time we touch something with our hands, we have to pay attention to it. For the first time, I look at my hand and I'm like, okay, don't touch your face. You just grabbed a doorknob. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your face. And I have to tell you, I am terrible at not touching my face. I just think this is so much fun. I don't, particularly care one way or the other what my face looks like, but apparently I care a lot what it feels like because I touch it all the time. Now I have to go wash my hands. So I want to do this with you. I want you to start paying attention, just like you already are, to what your body is up to what are you doing? What is your hand touching? What are your feet touching? What does your face feel like? And I want to look at this. If we fast forward to the middle of the Bible, to Psalm 139, this is the psalm. This is a beautiful psalm about how God, the care with which God has created us. And it starts off this way. It says, "O Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all of my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord." So what we see here at the very beginning of Psalm 139 that just goes on and on and on and on and more in greater detail is that the psalm toggles back and forth, the physical, the intellectual, or the emotional, or the spiritual. And it's just going hopping from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And I want you to look at this, and it just says this: "You know me when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my laying down. You are familiar with all my ways." It's kind of like these things can't be separated. And so a lot of the time we seem to live very fragmented lives. I live a very fragmented life. My mind is doing one thing. My body is doing something else. My heart is directed some other direction. And what the Bible is showing us here is that our bodies and our minds and our hearts and our destinies are all linked together. We don't get to just kind of separate out and have your mind be healthy and your body not healthy. No, they affect each other. And the Bible treats us as a singular, coherent being. And so I challenge you to do something, and it's kind of a fun game. But as we're all quarantined, as we're paying attention to, maybe for the first time in a long time, the weakness of our bodies, the vulnerability of our bodies, we're noticing that it's having an effect on our mind. I'm sure you're noticing that it's having an effect on your heart and your spirit and your mood. Your thoughts change based on where your body is. And when you are sick, our hearts change as well. Our bodies can grow sick from our hearts can grow sick from our bodies. Likewise, the wellness of one will translate to the other. Studies have actually shown that whatever your face is physically doing will actually manifest in your emotions. I actually feel happier now that I just started smiling than I did before. And it was the smile on my face that came first, which is very strange. But we're linked together like this. So I want to play a game with you. Play this game. every time you pay attention to where your body is, what it's doing, what it's touching, whether you're touching your face, whether you're reaching out for a doorknob that somebody else might have touched, whether you're using a shopping cart and how clean is that, etc. And we're thinking these sorts of things, many of us for the first time, maybe ever. As you're thinking about that, realize that that physical body is linked to everything else and that God has made all of it. And as one thing is vulnerable, the other is vulnerable. As one thing is strong, the other is strong. And I just invite you to explore, what is your body doing? And maybe it's the first time you've done this in a long time. What does the chair feel like underneath me? What do my feet feel like on the ground? What do my hands feel like as they touch something? So, as part of our worship, use your body. Hopefully I haven't ruined a whole lot for you as you suddenly become extremely aware of everything you're touching, everything you're feeling, everything around you in a new way. But I think it's really, really helpful to just be present to what is your body doing. Thank you. May God bless you.